Yes, good morning, everyone. Can we please shut the door? There's a lot of noise outside. Thank you. Um, yeah. Welcome to this exciting session at the India Digital Summit. I'm Sonal Sharma, and I'm honored to be the moderator for this discussion. I've worked with SEWA Bharat, which is a national federation of different women-led institutions in the informal sector, spanning urban, rural, tribal geographies. And uh, in my personal experience, I've worked with nano, micro, women-led enterprises who've tremendously benefited from digital financial literacy, digital payment gateways, from tech-based, grassroots-based jobs. And I think we have a fantastic group of people here today who are pioneers in their own way, who've founded, led, supported enterprises, interventions, where the idea is that women-led development can also be bolstered by tech-based, IT-based solutions. So I think I'm going to dive right in. I'm going to start with Jayatri. Um, Jayatri PayNearby has been sort of a leader in providing digital services to the last mile, especially in the rural areas. You're also spearheading the Digital Naari initiative. How do you think these interventions are helping women close the skills gap in rural areas? And I'm going to make it a two-part question, which is what challenges do you see these women facing, especially when they have limited access to digital assets, literacy, and of course, the larger societal norms? So over to you.
Thanks, Sonal. So, a little brief about who we are. PayNearby is about a 9-year-old organization. We are basically working in the financial inclusion space. So, we work with retailers, about 12 lakh retailers in the country, and we make them the agent banking point in their areas. So, what these retailers actually do is they enable a lot of financial services in local communities, whether it is banking, in banking we have ATM withdrawal, opening a savings account, insurance, lending. So the gap that we see in financial usage, PayNearby's objective was how to bridge that gap. So while we are at it for the last 9 years, what we realized over the course of the last few years is that we have been able to reach the homes of a lot of people in the hinterlands, right? With 12 lakh retailers, we serve more than 5 crore customers. So we've really reached the homes of many people. But the gender gap that you see in financial usage still continue. Okay, so while people from rural homes are coming to us, it is still very male dominated, and one of the reasons for that is the shops that are getting manned are by men. So that's one of the barriers that we wanted to break. We wanted to see that while Jandhan, Aadhaar, and UPI has ensured, the Jandhan accounts has ensured that there is no gender gap in opening an account in the country, right? We say that, adult female population, most of them are covered in terms of opening an account. But if you see the actual usage of the accounts, it is very, very less. There's still a huge gender gap. And then talk about credit, talk about insurance, talk about any other evolved financial services. Um, Average is about, approximately we say about 14 million women-led micro entrepreneurs in the country. Out of that, less than 10% have formal credit. So that's the barrier that we are trying to cross. And one of the realizations for us is that because of the societal norms, because of limited literacy, because of mobility being an issue, if you have a handset in rural area, handset will be per household one, largely in the hands of the man, right? So a pure digital might not work because the woman just doesn't have access to that. So we realized that it needs to be a woman-led program to bridge this gap. And that is where we started this Digital Nari program. And to get this awareness and skill in the last mile, we realized that a pure tech model will not work. So it is a phygital model where we are choosing community influencers in every cohort. And these community influencers are tech-enabled, who we are calling digital naris. So they have access to a phone. They know how to use digital. So a lot of content training for us goes to the digital Nari, and through her, then we ensure that she does physical sessions in her communities. We also keep doing a lot of research, and one of the things that come out very strongly is women prefer talking to another woman in terms of any life advice, especially women in rural India, right? Influencer. And that is where the Digital Nari program was conceptualized, that can we use technology to build a large cohort of digital influencers across the country, and through these digital influencers then reach out to other women. And in terms of skilling, these digital influencers then become the point of dissemination. They become the point through which a lot of whatever awareness, education that needs to go out is then imparted through her. Yeah.
Thanks, Jayatri. I'm glad you also brought out the fact that women serving women has worked better. There's ample evidence to say that women's financial inclusion is fostered further when it's women who are reaching the last mile. And that's been our experience at SEWA as well. Now turning to Kanta ji. So UN Women since decades have been doing incredible work in promoting women's entrepreneurship, especially in the rural terrain. Um, from your perspective, how is technology playing a role in empowering rural women entrepreneurs in India? And can you share some insights or examples from your own experience? And before you talk, I'd like to also just give an example of Seva Bharat's work with UN Women, where you've helped facilitate direct cash transfers to women entrepreneurs at the height of the pandemic, so that they could restart, rebuild their businesses with the smallest of support. And one of the outcomes we saw, unintended outcomes, I would say, is that it also sort of to an extent addressed gender-based violence at the household level. So I feel there's so much, the multiplier effects of these interventions are humongous. So over to you.
Thank you very much, Sonal. Good morning, everyone. I just want to kind of take 1 minute to talk about what UN Women does globally. We are one of the specialized agencies of the UN system that's dealing with gender equality and women's empowerment. We are present in almost all the countries, but physically very strong in about 100 countries. In India, we have been there from the very beginning. So in that sense, we are relatively new in the UN. Earlier, we were part of a few other agencies, but in 2010, on the insistence of civil society organizations as well as member states, when I'm saying member states, governments from across the globe, insisted that there has to be an agency which is dealing with gender equality. So we were established in 2010. We have been working in India for 15 years now. In terms of technology and what it does to women, two things. One, definitely, it's a great leveler. When I'm talking about technology, I don't differentiate how technology could be different for women in rural areas or urban areas. It is for women who are either who don't have access and control over those resources, or and those are also there in urban areas, right? So what Jayatri was talking about, even if they have access to the phone, they sometimes don't own it or don't control the uses. And that's how the learning time or information time is very limited. This is especially restricted for young women because parents are already worried about their safety online, number one, but they also fear that they will get into some relationship with some boy or something is happening. So they keep an eye on how women or young women use phones and technology. It's really affecting their learning patterns. We have also seen in our work, and we are doing multiple levels of work with rural women, or let me say women in rural areas, women in tribal areas, young women, with AI, with coding, with different kinds of tools. We are preparing them for work as well as entrepreneurship. In Madhya Pradesh, for example, we recently concluded a big project in 12 tribal districts. We started with 4, and then government realized that it's going to be very useful, so they asked us to scale it up to 12 districts. So we covered all ITIs, polytechnics in those areas. First time from some districts, girls have started going out and working in Surat, Ahmedabad, Bhopal, Indore, those areas. They had never seen that kind of outgo. What we also do is, technology itself is not good enough. We also work on social norms. And one of the things that you talked about is violence. Not only violence at home, but public spaces as well as in the cyberspace. When we are preparing young women to use technology, we also have a responsibility to put safeguards. Cyber hygiene has to be applied from the very beginning so that girls are not attacked. Because one thing is very clear, Sonal, that if one girl faces some violence, either physical or cyber, 10 other girls drop out. So in case of a boy, some incident happens, he's the only one affected. But in case of girls, it has multiplier impact. So we have to be exceptionally careful about what we give to women. But technology in the hands of women can be like magic. It can really play a huge role in building her confidence, in preparing her for better jobs, in taking up part-time jobs that Saloni will talk about, in doing multiple levels of work. And what our experience has been that without technology, you cannot prepare the workforce for the future. And women have to be part of that workforce if you want to be inclusive and if you want to use the 100% talent pool that we have in the country. So women have to be, and in that sense, why I also say it's a great leveler is that unlike the other work that they say in manufacturing or heavy lifting, this doesn't require anything. This is just brain and your work and your hands. And women are very good at that. And coupled with, say, soft skills, I mean, technology can take women very, very far. And we should not hesitate to bring women from the very beginning when we are planning work, when we are planning CSR, when we are planning intervention, but particularly when you are planning, what do you call in software language, products, right? So use women to inform your product development because it may have different meaning for women and different for men. I'll stop here, but I'll come back.
Thank you, Kantaji. I think you brought out two very important things. We talk a lot about opportunities in the digital space for women to grow, but we don't talk enough about safeguarding women in that space. There's so much out there which is not controllable, and so therefore creating those safeguarding measures is important. And the power of technology in women's hands, customizing product services for them, really important. Thank you. Moving to Saloni. Saloni, I think DesiCrew is perhaps the first rural-based BPO in the country. Please talk to us about your experience of DesiCrew and how you've seen that helping women enter the market force.
Sure, thank you. Thank you everybody for coming in. I represent DesiCrew. I founded DesiCrew in 2007. And if I can say, technology-enabled skill development for rural youth was our mission by design. But we realized that the boys can go anywhere. They can go to Dubai and they can go to Singapore and they can come to Delhi and Bangalore, but the girls remain there. In fact, they get married and they go back. So it wasn't by design, but just by accident, we ended up employing 1,000 women in 4 remote areas in the south of India. These are full-time jobs. They work for companies like Google, Zomato, Harper Lloyd, which is the largest shipping company in the world. They work for companies like that. But if they were to walk in to a Google headquarter, a Google office in Gurgaon, they probably won't get this job. And that is the magic that we feel when we engage them. Out of our team of 1,500 people, 1,000 young women today work out of these areas because they have a geographic challenge, but they have a skill set and the right attitude to work. But they have a geographic challenge. And out of those 1,000, 86% are first generation workers in their family, first time white collar jobs in their family. What we find is that there is a thirst to learn, there is a thirst to do, but there is also a very significant responsibility where they want to take care of their families. So when they're given a white collar opportunity like this in the regions where we are, they just keep becoming better and better and better, which means that it's a advantage to a Zomato or a Google as well because they don't see attrition. We know for a fact that practice makes perfect. And with regular practice on the same task, on the same job, these women deliver much better results for the same companies. We are a small company. We've been in this business for 18 years. We're a small company, but we're urging and women, the government, and everybody else to sort of see how they can adopt the model, how they can take it forward. And I'm happy to respond to specific questions that people might have. It's a small group, so we would love to, engage them in a conversation as well.
Thanks, Saloni. I actually agree. We have easily another 20 minutes, so we'd love to open to the room. But before that, I'd like to do one more quick round and ask you all if you could just name one initiative or action that can help further women's entry into the workforce through digital platforms, interventions, skill upgradation, whatever it may be. Just that one action and initiative you think is really important. We'll start with you, Jayatri.
In extension to what Saloni was mentioning, that it's a hard reality that today women also have to do a lot of the care work, right? And that's not going to change overnight. So when we build for women anything, and like Kanta was mentioning, and it's often said, right, when humans build a product, they build for the man. So those are the two changes that we need to immediately put in place, that when we are thinking of something for women, it needs to have the woman in the center. And the reality of today is that a woman has a lot of other responsibilities that she needs to take care of. So for example, in the project that we are doing, we are saying that convenience of place, you can work from your home, convenience of time, if you have 2, 3, 4 hours in a day, whatever amount of time you have, you can dedicate that time to earn your livelihood. So any livelihood or training or anything that we take care of has to take care of the basics of today and then plan around it, because nothing changes overnight. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Kantaji.
See, I have a personal interest in revamping ITIs for girls. This country has about thousands of girls ITIs, and there are of course girls in boys ITIs who are studying every course. In girls ITIs, unfortunately, they are still studying dressmaking, food production, stenography, which are 50-year-old courses. They haven't changed those courses. It's a huge infrastructure. Staff is available, but staff is also teaching what they were hired for. So even their skills have not been upgraded. I am saying a huge resource has been wasted and is being wasted every day. Coming from you, and I don't look at things in isolation. I have to look at the systemic things, because we create pilots that government scales up, without which we will never achieve scale. So if you want to make one big change, we should start focusing on girls' ITIs and train them on new age skills. Like they have trained boys in the ITIs. Boys' ITIs are being adopted by Daikin to Honda to Hero to all manufacturing companies. Girls' ITIs in the same campus, nobody visits. I haven't seen bigger apathy than that. Why do we not consider them as a talent pool and a resource which we can tap into, train them into something, a workable force, and also maybe some exceptional skills that women bring in addition to, because we think differently, it's not anything else, we bring to on the table. I think I will focus on that and put my dollar there.
Well said.
Thank you so much for that. And I think one thing that needs to change is, in an environment where we are talking about 90-hour work weeks, women just need a little bit flexibility. They are willing to put in a lot of effort and a lot of work, but they need the room to be able to take care of life overall. Like work is not 100% of their life, but they will do 150% in that same time. So they need HR policies which allow them to, engage, work, and very simple things like, in organizations, it's not always work from home. It's hybrid working. It is the ability to do project-based work. They are willing to do full-time jobs, but they need that flexibility. So I would say just HR policies and organizations that allow, that engagement.
Thank you so much. I think it's time that we open it to the room. Welcome any questions, suggestions, any experiences of your own from your own field of work. I think we have time for about 3 questions or so. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sarika Agrawal, heading business in company called Finti. Thank you so much. I think it was an insightful we get from the rural women entrepreneur. The question is for Jayatri in particular. I wanted to understand when we talk about digital Naari, that you talk about the product has to keep women in focus when you are designing. How is it different from when a male merchant is getting onboarded vis-a-vis a female who is onboarded on a digital Naari platform?
Hi. So I'll give you a specific instance of a product that we have designed for women, and this we have done in collaboration with Reserve Bank Innovation Hub, okay? Now we all know that if you look at our homes also, we know that women save more than men, right? All our mothers, sisters, we are putting the money under the mattress, in our chawal ka dibba, we know that women save more. When we went and said why are women not saving formally, okay? Few things that come out very strongly is when your mother or my mother is saving, she's saving without the knowledge of everyone else in the family. So she's saving surreptitiously, right? She may not have the mobility to go to a bank and put the money in, okay? If we have a fixed RD that we have for general right now, every month you have to put a certain amount of the money into the bank, right? She may not have that. She may, some months have 100 rupees, some months 500, some months 1000 rupees, right? So she needs the flexibility to put the amount she has with her in that month. So here you see the requirements are very different from a working male, right? The requirement for a woman when she's saving is that, yes, I need to save at a location which is close to me because I am limited by mobility. I need to have the flexibility. If I have money 5 times in a month and I have 100 rupees, I should be able to put that in securely in some place, okay? And she also most likely will feel more comfortable in approaching another woman for a savings requirement. So there itself, you see, there is a lot of difference. And if you see most of the banking products, they're not really catering to that, right? That's what I mean. When you build products for a woman, go and do the research, find out what she really wants, and build for her. If you build for her, she will adapt it. Yeah, thank you.
And if I can also add to this, all entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, if they fail in their first business, there's no way they can start second. Men fail multiple times, they become serial entrepreneurs, right? Women just stop because there's no support system around her. So their products have to be aligned to how they can repay and what kind of additional support that can be extended to them to run her business. It's not just money. She also needs how to get registration, need to know how to get registration done, how to pay taxes, how to do all those things, because these are also the problems that we inherit from our previous generations, that we never invested in finances. We were kept out of financial markets, saying this is not women's role. This is not, women don't know finance. Even I am told by my husband sometimes, तेरे को समझ में नहीं आएगा finance. भाई किसको आएगा जब मैं घर चला रही हूँ, बच्चे पाल रही हूँ, किसको आएगा और, right? I run the house. But we hear it, and so that breaks our confidence day in and day out. And every woman hears us. That's how we are out of properties. Only 13% of world's properties in name of women, right? There has to be a reason for that, because ये आपके समझ में नहीं आएगा, कोर्ट कचहरी तुम्हारा काम नहीं है, right? When you design a house which is basically the premises that women would use the kitchen, the slab is at a standard height, without realizing that a woman could be 5 feet, a woman could be 6 feet, and she could be 5'8", and most of them are 5'4", right? So I'm saying we don't design any product, forget about financial products, for women. And software is also guilty of that. Software companies, also AI is bringing the same biases that other technology platforms brought. So we have to be careful.
We use manners when we talk about it.
Absolutely. Cars, aeroplanes, everything.
Hi, thank you very much for your insights. I'm Anirban. I work in an NGO working in the space of capacity building, primarily around digital for NGOs. I guess in the interest of time, I direct my question to you, Saloni. I think tech is an enabler. Beyond that, there are much larger mindset shifts that are needed. So just wanted to know what might be one or two key areas that you think that are needed to be addressed, and how do you address them? Thank you.
I'll take one which Kanta just pointed, failure. How do you view failure and how do you sort of be resilient to it? I've worked with large sales teams and, when the client rejects you, the boys just shrug and they move ahead to the next deal, right? It's a pipeline. But the women don't have that mindset. When a business fails, they don't want to start again. But in entrepreneurship, that is a given. You will fail every day, literally. You don't know what's going to succeed. So I would say that is a soft skill that really needs a mindset shift. And the second mindset shift that girls really need is to ask for forgiveness and not permission. Do it, come and say sorry if someone has a problem. But if you wait for permission, God help you.
Very straightforward.
Thank you so much for the time. My question is directly from Saloni ma'am from DesiCrew. That you said you have 1,000 female employees, like you onboarded them. And my question is, when you onboarded from a regional level, you mentioned, so it would be, I think, a task to like make them on the same platform, not in for a mentality that they have to work, and not for they have to be passionate for work, but for a digital workforce. So any insight for that? How did you make a complete group from different types of regions, different variety of country, and how they are actually dedicated to the like company like Google and Zomato, you are saying. So any insight how you train them
Yeah.
to be a same mentality?
So we actually go in and we set up a large facility. When you walk into one of our facilities, you feel that magic. In that region, there is only one facility like that. Today, if I walk into a Google office here, um, there is a institutional feel that I feel, right? And I want to be part of it or I don't want to be part of it. Similarly, we recreate that environment over there. When they walk into our office, they know they want to be here. They know they want to come in every month. And I feel that everybody wants a dignified opportunity to earn. Nobody ever says no to that. Very few people who are very lazy and say किसी और के पैसे पे रहेंगे, right? So when they get their paycheck month on month, they work hard and they come back.
On my side, I wanted to just come in, sorry, Sonal.
No, please do.
It's mindset. So good thing about that is it can change, right? It's not a plane that we built and it's difficult to dismantle. And a simple example is how sports has come up in Haryana, the most patriarchal state, and there are 200 akhadas for women. Overnight, fathers would take their daughters for wrestling practice. क्योंकि एक गीता फोगाट ने कॉमनवेल्थ में मेडल जीता, फेम मिला, गवर्नमेंट जॉब मिली, कैश अवार्ड्स मिले. That's how it started. It didn't take a minute. So mindset is something we should not worry too much about. When girls have started bring money at home, others have come around. That's how fast it changes. We are just thinking too much about it actually. Just do something transformational and things will change faster.
Hi, my name is Dhanuk and I'm a social work professional. So my question is from Kanta ma'am that as per Niti Aayog's latest report, a lot of women have been trying to get into the gig economy sector, and a major barrier to entry is the resource ownership control of the technological part. And that is also dependent on their economical independence. So it becomes a vicious cycle and it's get a lot of difficulties in escaping it. So how to address that part?
Access to technology, and I'm saying technology companies, particularly phone manufacturers and people, when they give any support, CSR or otherwise, should focus on handing over devices to women. And I really work closely with young women and tell them, start owning assets. Well, start with a phone and go to a scooter and then go to a home. Instead of dowry, go to ask for property share from your father. So but unfortunately what happens is we prepare our girls for marriage and we prepare our sons for careers. We have to also start changing that. From the very beginning, girls getting used to owning a phone, and I know it will take time, and convincing the parents and fighting with the parents to say, I'm ready to forgo this, but I want to study further. Small negotiations at home, people like us and agencies like ourselves, we work a lot, and that's the basic difference between us and a smaller NGO. We work on social norms first. We say, how do we talk to the families first and bring the support system around the girls? So it might take little more time, but that is the only way that you start having girls prepared for owning things, including a phone. And that's very, very important what you said.
Any more questions?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Abhiram, and my question is to the panel. What's your wish list for women leveraging technology to become change agents in their communities? What are the things that you would want to happen in the short term, in the mid-term future for women to become change agents in their communities? Thank you.
I feel like we did address this, but yes, please.
Just on the hopeful note, I'm saying, अब ना आप रोक नहीं सकते उनको. समय आ गया. It's just a matter of couple of more years, because there are so many advantages of using technology. Girls are going to take over.
But ma'am, just one point to you. You mentioned that AI is, for instance, coming in with the same set of biases
Yes.
that.
Yes.
So technology by itself is maybe not the solution in my mind. It's probably the way we look at things, like you were saying.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, the
Yes.
way we create technology or the way we interact with technology, what are the things that you would want to change?
See the messaging, how we speak. A panel like this, talking about women, should be in the main plenary rather than in a small room. All of us, it is not just women's duty to talk about women. Everyone, we want men to support this, because without which the country's growth is not going to happen. The 5 trillion or 20 trillion that we are talking about, you are never going to achieve it unless women are part of that. So all of us, I'm saying that I'm putting the responsibility on the companies, I'm putting responsibility on social leaders, governments. We have to work together to bring the talent, and this has men and women both, without which we will not reach there. And yes, technology, there are people who are working on the biases that exist and trying to remove those, and engaging with Google and Microsoft and everyone else, but the different sets of people. But we also need to work with the communities to also let girls bloom, I would say.
Can I just add to this? I've been in a lot of panels over the past year or so, and of course, collectively, I'm sure there's been so many. One thing I've seen come up again and again when there's an all women panel is the sheer pride and joy that the organizers or maybe people in the audience feel. And I want to say that that's not the win. That should have happened perhaps 2 decades ago, and we shouldn't stop there. Replacing a panel with a whatever all-women panel is really not the right messaging. That's an old story now, and therefore that mindset change, both inward and external, really has to take the forefront. We'll take one more question, and then we'll close.
Yeah, I'm Rajesh Sinha. I'm part of the board of directors of various companies. Now, a couple of things I would like to know, mostly from Kanta ma'am. One is, why are we looking at only ITIs? So one, there is a generational shift. So people of my mother generation, or even me, whose kids are now in their, doing their, technology and all. We have not prepared our kids for career and otherwise, Both of them are as independent, a boy and a girl, as they are. It's a generational shift that is already happening. So economic empowerment is no longer a choice. It's a given. It's the list that is required. Now, if we are looking at equality, why go to ITI? Maybe UN Women is the most apt organization to start at class 12th or 12K, as it is say, with the new education policy. If we really do it that way, where we tap people there, 11th, 12th, there's so many new gen entity that is doing it. Don't you think that could be a much better way to empower women? And if are we doing something on it, even SEWA Bharat, a lot of us can do, because why wait for them to reach an ITI? We continue to, I'm not saying that we should not do that. I'm saying this could be added. And is there something that even women is already doing on it?
Sir, UNICEF does, because women come to us when they are 18. Before that, they are within UN also there are subject, segregation. UNICEF works with children, and we work with women. I'm sure UNICEF is supporting the government in implementing the NEP. A lot of work. UNICEF is the largest agency in the country. UNESCO is also looking at curriculum and training women. Why ITI is that it's a wastage of resources. बिल्डिंग बनी हुई है, टीचर्स अपॉइंटेड हैं, गर्ल्स आ रही हैं, सरकार फ्री में पढ़ा रही है, बट क्या पढ़ा रही है वो तो उषा भी ट्रेनिंग का एक सर्टिफिकेट दे सकती है ना, उषा कंपनी भी. हम गवर्नमेंट के रिसोर्सेज से सिलाई कढ़ाई क्यों सिखा रहे हैं? वहाँ पे ऐसा सिखाए ना जो कि काम आ सकता है. इसलिए ITI ऑल्सो लाखों लड़कियाँ उससे अफेक्टेड हैं और वो गवर्नमेंट के बस में है. मैं इसलिए उसकी बात करती हूँ. और ये दिस इज़ अ कंट्रोल्ड एनवायरनमेंट जहाँ पे उसको ठीक किया जा सकता है. और आप सही कह रहे हैं, नॉट दैट इज़ नॉट द ओनली थिंग दैट कैन बी डन. You can also tap into the resources that are available in rural areas where girls are not even going to colleges. Colleges in tier 2, tier 3 cities are seriously बच्चों के पास कोई employable
Could I
skills
suggest something?
नहीं.
I have worked on this skill development with
Sir,
jam, ketchup making and silai kadhai. Gone through that, I have worked that for 5
Right,
years,
right.
especially in Mewat area, which is, at that time, literacy was 5% for women.
Right.
Okay. Now it has improved. So why not add technology to that?
absolutely.
We need not fight that to say, okay, stitching machine is there, necessarily add a tech layer to that.
I agree.
Because then it transforms. So rather than fighting that entire system, this could be far better to integrate traditional skills with adding a tech layer. And especially someone like Saloni, who is doing a wonderful job, maybe she could take up, because she would not have that, silos.
Right,
That's
sir.
UNICEF, this is
नो साइलो नहीं है
and-
वो इसलिए क्योंकि एक तो हमारा ध्यान जाता है सबसे मार्जिनलाइज गर्ल्स पे, बिकॉज वो हमारी मैंडेट है. वी डोंट रियली वर्क इन शिवाजी कॉलेज और मिरांडा हाउस. दैट्स नॉट आवर मैंडेट. वी वर्क टू द मोस्ट मार्जिनलाइज गर्ल्स. तो मेरा ध्यान उन्हीं लड़कियों पे जो बिल्कुल पीछे रह गई हैं, जो वो ITIs की गर्ल्स हैं, मेवात की लड़कियां हैं जहाँ फुटबॉल पे हम लोग ध्यान देते हैं. सीक्विन के साथ मिलके आई डू लॉट ऑफ स्पोर्ट्स प्रमोशन फॉर गर्ल्स बिकॉज दैट्स अ ग्रेट वे टू ब्रिंग गर्ल्स आउट. जो भी काम करता है इज़ नॉट आइदर और. टेक्नोलॉजी किसी चीज़ में ऐड कर दो, टेक्नोलॉजी को एडिशन कर दो, आप एजुकेशन दे दो, आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट्स द ओनली थिंग दैट शुड बी डन. इफ़ यू हैव टू पिक अप फ्रॉम 10, that is when I chose ITIs. But everything can be done. What you're saying is absolutely right.
Do you want to add anything, Saloni, Jayatri? Because I think we've been told there is time for one more question. All right, over to you, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies, and thank you for an insightful session. I know we're short on time, I'll keep it short. Questions for Mrs. Singh. You mentioned that when it comes to cyberbullying and cyber violence, there's a multiplier effect when the victims are women. Could you expound on that a little bit? I'm not sure I follow.
If you look at world leaders, particularly women, you see a Barkhadat. Any woman in public life faces huge trolling and violence in cyberspace. It discourages other women to join public life, right? You look at how Smriti Irani faces, she's a powerful woman. If you come in front of her, she will tear you apart if you do that to her. But because people are writing in disguised manner, they're writing whatever they write to her, and bad names. Any woman who joins public life, and if she faces violence, what security does it give it to me? Right? I'll be discouraged. I met a group of 26 MPs from UK who said next elections they are not going to contest. One common reason was that their families have been dragged into the muck on online, in online space. Their daughters have been threatened to be raped. How does it help women, tell me? And how do more women start talking about what they feel about any political or social or economic issue in cyberspace if they are going to be trolled? What do you know about finance? What do you know? See how Nirmala Sitharaman is being trolled, right? A man would not face that kind of violence, and it discourages other women from joining those public lives, or even normal thing. So unfortunately, only content which is being created and which is being appreciated by men online is porn. And that is what nobody has problems with. But a woman who is talking sense, woman who is talking about the issues that men talk about online are not respected or not given due attention or recognition.
faces trolling, the pressure from the family to then let go is huge. A man doesn't face that. The man probably will get the support of the entire family to overcome it, and the woman will say, let go of it and sit at home. That's the difference.
It's the penalty on women is higher, whether it's repercussions of online bullying or it's failure of a business. Um, I think, I'm sorry, we're running out of time, but appreciate this extremely engaging audience. I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We've spoken about the unpaid care work that women do. Studies show that in India, it's 8 to 12 times the amount of unpaid care work that women do as compared to men. You can see a lot of time use studies that say that if you look at women's access to finance, you'll see that women's credit ratings are actually much higher than those of men. If you look at mindset of managers, in jobs where women are supposed to be hired as financial intermediaries or business correspondents, managers prefer hiring men because they think कि भागने दौड़ने वाला काम औरत नहीं कर सकती या गाली गलोच है इस काम के अंदर. So I feel like that. Thank you to all the panelists for bringing out the mindset shift point. That's really important. And I think I just want to end by saying that technology is not just a tool anymore. It's a transformative force that has the power to help us reimagine the world of work for women, from seamstresses or tailors to from jam makers to data collectors and women who are annotating data as what DesiCrew is promoting. So thank you all for this very engaging conversation. I think we'll close it.